Hey, what's up everybody? Jordan from Moon World here. And what we're doing today is we are going to establish the structure of season 2 of Moon Theater on the Air, our original audio series, and maybe even get into writing the first episode for season 2. And I am going to document this in a little bit of a vlog style because I thought it would be interesting to share and showcase my creative process, which is a very simple creative process, which I think should be inspiring to anybody. You don't need a bunch of fancy stuff. You don't need any rules. You just need your brain and your mind. And the first thing I like to do is set my setting, meaning like where I'm actually working. Because when it comes to creative writing and being creative for me, I need to be in a place that feels peaceful, that I feel connected to. That can be anywhere. The first half of the first season, or the first few episodes of the first season of Moon were written on a beach in Mexico when I was supposed to be on vacation and sudden inspiration struck. And you know, you could do it in a distant land, you could do it in your bedroom, you could do it in your closet, you could do it right here. I'm in my kitchen right now. The energy feels right. It's 10:15 p.m. on I don't even know what the date is, July 28th, maybe 29th. And first things first, this light killing me. So I'm gonna go turn that light off. Before we do that, the other two pieces, like I said, simple, but you need your space to feel like your space. So I guess this is a product plug, but this is a Palo Santo spray. It's kind of awesome. If you guys don't know what Palo Santo is, you should find out. Smells great, love the smell. Reminds me, I don't know, it gives me this warm sensation. And then I got this little robot light head, which we're gonna see if we use him or not, because it's gonna get dark and you'll wanna be able to see things. The only tools that I have, and this could be a piece of paper, but I just have so much writing that this becomes handy. This is my Remarkable 2. That is the first Moon sticker that was ever made, I believe. And in Remarkable 2, it's basically just like a giant Etch-a-Sketch / digital notebook. Some season 2 thoughts are already here. I write essentially everything related to Moon on my Remarkable 2 first, usually. And then depending on how deep we are in the season, I will go straight to Google Docs or something. I have my laptop here, but I typically want to stay as far away from it as possible. The only reason I would need it is if I'm truly stuck on an idea and I need to either look at a reference or look at past things that I've written. But I try to keep screens out of the equation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go turn the light off, set this place up with my little robot guy maybe, and then get to it and explain to you what I'm doing. And I'm starting from a blank slate. This is a full blank slate. Man, I didn't prepare anything for this. I don't usually prepare much when I start writing or try to get into a creative headspace. All right, so adjusted the light a little bit, which is important. I would actually probably work in a darker scene and setting than this, but because of the camera, I won't. And then I would usually listen to music, but I don't want the music to get content flagged, so no music. But if you look here, this is a brainstorm that I did several days ago about season 2. And so the way I'm gonna start my process, first of all, is I'm gonna read what the heck I wrote, because I probably forgot it already. And I have this one rule, and this is when I usually do creative exercises, no matter who or what it's for, which is I time box. And if you don't know what time boxing is, there are a bunch of flavors of it. I pretty much time box everything I do. But when it comes to creative writing, and even sometimes making music, I think time boxing is really important. I don't think time boxing works for every element of work that you'll ever do. I think in some cases it can be counterproductive. But in this case, I want to make sure that I'm in a constant state of inspired and feeling good about what I'm doing. So I think time boxing is important. So I'm going to time box this to 1 hour. It's 10:25 right now. That means I will give myself exactly 60 minutes. I'm going to go from 10:25 p.m. till 11:25 p.m. And at that point, I will assess whether I am still compelled to continue forward or not. And then I would either start, typically on a normal work day, I would start and pick up another task right after that time box, set another hour, begin working on another task, and determine after that task if I want to come back to this task or start a different task. But in this case, I will actually be determining, because it's 11 o'clock at night, if I'm inspired enough and feeling enough to keep going into the night. So that will be my cutoff point 1 hour from now. And we're going to assess what we accomplished within 1 hour. So first things first, I wrote this season 2, these season 2 notes. I'll hold this up here. These are our season 2 notes. I actually need to get my glasses. One critical thing I forgot. So here are the notes. Each episode, a new place/mission. I think the thing I want to emphasize in this season of m00m, season 2, is that you could be somebody who discovers the audio series and picks it up and doesn't necessarily have all the context of all the history of m00m world, but you would still get something out of it. And you might be able to jump in quickly, feel it out, and see if you want to stick around or listen to the next episode or go back and pick up the context of everything. I would love to impart that upon this season above all else. So that we have the ability to introduce more world building, introduce new characters, which in our sense equals community participation of voices, and to encourage the expansion of one world, which is planet Earth, the expansion of the United States, which is the Fate-A territories, and I think that would be interesting. So each episode being a new place and a new mission, in my mind, allows people to snap in and out of something quickly, in and out of places quickly, and characters. The distribution of GUI as a concept. Because as we left off in season 1, Leg Day was captured, and he was sort of shot or exploded into GUI shards, which I think is the terminology that was used. So there's this concept of GUI. We've introduced the concept of GUI for the first time when Agent Q dies in season 1. m00m also says, "Ooh, that was GUI." So we want to bring the word into our universe. We always say, "Let's freaking goo." We say these funny things. So distribution of GUI, and I'll leave it at that for now because I see it as distributing GUI to the world. Both literally and metaphorically at this point, which is funny. The strengthening of the resistance, that's pretty obvious, meaning the resistance as a whole. The increased violence of fate. So, darkening the storyline where appropriate, giving fate some more moments that will provide contrast to what we're doing. A through line of m00m and Gold Star. Through line of m00m and Gold Star, meaning there's a story in every episode that's ever present with m00m and Gold Star as we go to these new places and new missions, but it doesn't necessarily mean the whole episode is based upon m00m and Gold Star and their experience. There we go. That's kind of blinding me now, but that's okay. Let's see. How about that? That's my little robot guy. Existing characters each get a hero moment, so meaning the characters that you've come to enjoy and appreciate in season 1 would all have an important moment. And by the way, this was just like a stream of conscious brainstorm. This is what came out of my head, things I've been thinking about, things that have been on my subconscious. New lands, I've sort of already mentioned that. I mentioned here the spherical float gets us there with a question mark. A container gets us there. How? So questions that I haven't necessarily answered, even though I have different thoughts in my head about. Higher stakes, more fate. I'm kind of echoing this theme of increased violence of fate. I think it could also be seen as higher stakes, more fate. The response of factions answering the call. So furthering the concept of factions, furthering the participation in factions, and that's what we've got. That's all this brainstorm was. So for me, the first thing I think I'll need to do is figure out an episode structure of this new structure. Like each episode having a new place and a mission, which is this, and then probably a through line of Gold Star and m00m. I think those are the things I need to figure out. So it's kind of like priority 1 is each episode being in a new place of mission. 2 is a through line of Moom/Gold Star. And then 3, I would say, is the distribution of GUI. And I'm kind of ranking this in my mind, just naturally how I feel. And then I think we'll call 4, objective 4, the strengthening of the resistance and the increased violence of fate. And the rest, I think, kind of folds into those categories more or less, roughly. So now, why don't we jump into figuring out what the heck this episode structure is. So we're going to do that together. All right, let's go on to that. All right, flipping the page here on the Remarkable. I feel like this is an advertisement for them. You can add the page. This is the update. Yeah, new page, fresh page. I'm going to flip on it. I'm going to flip it and work on it in this manner. I'll film some of what I'm doing. I think that we know that our episodes are targeting 22-minute episodes in the audio series because the community voted it can't go over 25 minutes. Again, I could veto that, I suppose, but we're going to keep it that way because that's what the people think they want. So episode, I'm going to write the word episode. Episode equals 22 minutes. And it's funny because usually I'd just be saying all this in my head, but now I'm just saying it to the camera, so it's actually kind of natural because this is how my brain works. I actually talk to myself in my head the entire time, and that's how I do this. So if there's a 22-minute episode, that basically means 5, 10, 15, 20, let's call it 5 parts we could call the episode, or 5-minute rough math, bad math segments. So let's go ahead and choose the paintbrush tool, and we will go to make 5 chunks, which is pretty basic. I'm literally just drawing a long rectangle. I'll show you all what this looks like when it's done. Maybe I'll hold it up. It's a rectangle, guys. It's not that interesting. And then we're going to cut it into 5 slices. And this is just to help myself visualize this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 roughly, terribly drawn, even slices. Okay? Moving on. I think that we need to know there is an intro. We'll put that at the top. Well, that's a little thick. Change my brush type. Back to a pen. By the way, this isn't like some traditional writing school of thought or rules. This is just the way I think of things. I think of it as there's an intro. There is most certainly a middle, which is obvious, and then there's an end. However, I would argue that the climax occurs in between the middle and the end. Climax. And then I'll call it intro. I'm almost thinking of this like a song. It's funny. Progression. So you've got this. Okay. And again, there's probably a bunch of professional writers who are watching this and like, dude, that's not how you do it. But this is how I do it, and it seems to work for me. So intro, progression, middle, climax, end. So the way to further break this out is you think of it as 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 in terms of minutes. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and we know that is minutes. And then we can break it down into the first 5 minutes. Let's focus on what the first 5 minutes is. Because what I think is I want to, again, I need to somehow show Gold Star. I'll show you guys this in a sec. I think we need Gold Star to have her moment, Gold Star, which is basically Gold Star / Moom, obviously, because they're traveling together in the spherical float. And they need to be across this whole thing, somehow overshadowing everything that is going on within these segments. And this, now that I'm thinking about this, I think the story obviously has to pick up where it left off, and then it might depart into these ideas of new lands, new missions, each episode after the first episode. But let's workshop it. Let's see. So where does it start? They went on the spherical float to attempt to find leg day. The question is, do we start with them already at leg day or at a location, which would be a fate operations base, or is it the quest to get to the fate operations base? Or is there some sort of issue that they are in the middle of when we start with them? And if I want to increase the violence of fate, do we start off with something fate-oriented? And these are all questions. These are honest questions. I don't know the answers. Actually, I need to go back to the previous page because I have another important thing that I think needs to be highlighted and heroed that wasn't, which is something that I find to be very important overall in what I do, which is I want it to be thought-provoking, and we have to maintain the fact that we're making thought-provoking material, not with a particular agenda, but just concepts that inspire various forms of thought. So I'm going to write down thought-provoking. Thought-provoking. And by the way, the cool thing about this device is I can send this all off as a PDF to myself. So now thought-provoking is there, just so I don't forget. Let's go back over to our other page. Here we are. Gold star /moom, the minutes, whatever. And this is going to be, let's see. We got to just scribble down some notes. So I'm going to make a box of notes over here. That's all this is, nothing else. Notes. And this is just more raw notes. Like in my head, and you got to trust the thought. This is a critical part of the process. You got to trust the thoughts that come into your head. Because oftentimes the thoughts that come into your head are the thoughts that the universe, if you will, wants you to express as they come in. If it's the first thought that comes into your head, it is probably coming into your head first for a reason. And then you just have to determine, is that the first thought because it's the most basic thought, or is that the first thought because it's what I'm supposed to do? And the first thought that came into my head, it's going to sound weird, is rain. Is like weather conditions. Is perhaps a struggle because of rain and weather conditions. And where is that occurring? I do not know. And how does it play into our story? So I'm going to write down rain / weather. And then I'm going to put in a question mark box, where? See? Look at that. Right here. Rain / weather, where? Okay. And this is not some formed process. This is just me thinking stuff through. I want fate to be doing something possibly terrible. Fate doing something terrible. Want to increase the violence. We got to re-emphasize that they're the bad guy. And maybe in that violent moment is where we put in our thought-provoking stuff. So I'm going to extend that out and say thought-provoking. Thought-provoking. Do we open this episode on fate? Or do we open this on Gold Star? I think we open this episode on fate, and I think it's raining, there's a base, and leg day is being taken to the base. Something about my intro. So I think I'm working on my intro the first 5 minutes. So now I'm gonna just draw a line down here. So not what they would teach you in college. I don't think. So I'm gonna put, let's go like this. Actually, this is a weird thing. I'm going all freeform, and this is just my brain and how it works. I've done similar stuff like this before, obviously, but we're gonna go, this is 5 minutes. We're gonna go 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. I have made these very sloppy boxes. This is the intro. It's 5 minutes long. 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute, okay? So now I need to fill in what these minutes are, right? Get it? So now I know we were just talking about rain, weather conditions, where, fate doing something terrible, a secret base, okay? And I'm gonna call it unloading leg day. Secret base, unloading leg day. And I would usually probably have to query my laptop at the moment because I want to base where our base is based on something real. Meaning, like, looking at a map, we know that Fate has its main office, headquarters in Salt Lake City. This could be anywhere, but I'd want to find a place on the map that they took leg day and established storyline and lore there. I don't know where that would be. So for the first 5 minutes, I'm going to say we open on a place that is, I imagine there's a gate. I imagine security gates, stuff opening up, people, long rifles, snipers. So I'm gonna say we open on heavy rain, gate, fate, snipers. Okay, that's it. That's what I put in here. Okay. Heavy rain. It looks like my handwriting sucks. Heavy rain, gate, rain. I think I said rain, snipers, all right there. That's the first minute. That's it. Oh wait, we just determined what the first minute is. So I kind of imagine, and in my head I'm thinking, leg day's getting unloaded. We're describing that scene. We're establishing this fate base. And then once we've established that, I got to think of who would be there. The supplicant, obviously, holographic. Masai didn't really make the season finale. I'm going to put a note. Masai. And who else? Because the Masai and the supplicant are merely projections and Agent Q is dead. So who else? Okay, we need to go who else, because someone needs to facilitate this. Is it Demona King? Is she personally overseeing this? I don't know. But that means the second minute is going to be a discussion of Fate officials. Fate, we're going to call it Fate Setup / Discuss, which only I can read this. You guys won't even be able to read this. That's the second. So we kind of start setting up the drama, setting up what's going to happen, setting up the, let's call it, setting up the, not conflict, but just what they're doing with leg day. The facility that he's in. Yeah, I might just, there's not enough space here. But anyway, I know what that means in my mind, and then we'll expand each one of these pieces. Then leg day needs to be examined. Like, we need to understand, like, how is leg day? Is he in a vial? He's in a gooey vial. We know that for sure. Well, I mean, now you do. Gooey vial. So that's in the 3rd minute. He's in a gooey vial, or it will express that. I think it's gooey vial / maybe a little bit of torture for leg day. Then in the 4th and 5th minute, I would like for us to cut to Gold Star, Moom, and Luna, because Luna's with them. So this is in the float. In the float. And within the float, it's in quotation marks, the plan. They should be discussing their plan, and they are arriving at his whisper, where if you watch the season finale, we talk about the last known whisper ping from leg day. Moom picks up on this, so he kind of has an idea, a general idea of where they are. And then I think in the 5th minute, and for all this to go down in 5 minutes, right? Like, this is like the arrival. They are arriving at this. Maybe it's the general location. Maybe it's not the exact base. They're gonna. I would say they should arrive at like a vantage point. I'm gonna call it arrival vantage point. Okay. And so one thing about this, right, is like, you guys can see the first 5 minutes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm writing into the 10th minute, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and just scribbling over. It doesn't really matter, because once we establish the first 5 minutes, we can either make a new one of these, copy and paste it, or we don't even need to use this anymore. But I think what I like to do is I like to break out my thoughts into minutes, which probably is not something that somebody writing a novel would do. But since this is kind of, it's an audio play, it's a screenplay, it's a comic, I think that breaking it down into minutes in duration makes a lot of sense for me anyway, and how I work. So now that we know what's happening in the first 5 minutes, let's begin the writing process. But notice how I haven't thought about the climax, the middle, or the end. Before I jump into the writing process, I'm going to spend a moment brainstorming that. So now I'm trying to brainstorm like the middle, the climax, and the end. I'm going to actually flip to a new page just to put some rough thoughts down on. Flip this back out. I'm going to write this as middle / end / climax brainstorm. And the reason I'm doing this is not because I'm going to fill in what each minute is. I want to just have a semblance of where we're going. And I'll probably edit a lot of this out because it'll probably be very boring if you just see me here sitting in silence contemplating things. But I will speak about things when there's something worth being spoken about. Are they escaping? Do they successfully escape? Are they stuck? I think it's almost like fate has to seem like they've won for a minute and we do this cat and mouse dance. This is a spoiler alert, by the way. You will want to skip this part if you don't want a spoiler. Now, item number 3, I believe it was on my list, was GUI distribution. So they need to discover all the different GUI samples. But more so, I'm going to write these notes. I want them to be extracting and replicating GUI from leg day. And this will be either in the middle, probably like the middle, end, or climax. But this is a big spoiler alert. This is in essence his torture. That meets a lot of my objectives right there. And that would mean that Gold Star, Luna, and Moom discover this GUI. I'm gonna say Gold discovers But they're discovering this vault of GUI, and this is just what's coming into my head, guys. This isn't like, that's it. It just came into my head. You saw it. I mean, I did have some premeditation about this, obviously, but you see where I'm at. So she sees an opportunity to take that technology. Sees opportunity. And I assume the people watching this are like the deepest fans, and they don't care if there's spoiler alerts. They just want to know what's up. Get the alpha, as we say. And I think there needs to be a showdown, but not the most epic showdown, obviously, as it's the first episode, but there definitely needs to be a showdown where they win. A showdown, like, to do, is there any loss? Did the good guys take any loss there? Or is fate taken off guard? I don't know. We're leaving that blank. There's a showdown of some sort. All right, so we know high level what's going on, and then the next piece of it would be they escape. All right. I think that at least sets me up to know what I have to backfill and work towards as I'm writing the first episode. So now I'm gonna write, but let's check our time box. It's 10:56. We started this at 10:20, so we have to like till 11:20, and we'll see how far we get. We'll see if I still feel like I have the momentum to keep going. Okay, well, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write without commentary. I'll show you guys as I'm writing, and then I'll read a little bit of it. This is my process, okay? This is the process. You'll start to see how I connect the dots from this whole very, very basic framework that I established in real time. I had been thinking about this framework in different places in my life leading up to this moment. Like, what's the best way to do this without overcomplicating things? Because God, I hate overcomplicating things. I like to keep it simple. I think that keeping it simple results in a better result sometimes, because you can get so complicated with so many systems and so many ways of doing things that then you just become a slave to your systems. All right, it's writing time. Turning this off. A downpour of rain brought extra humidity to the already thick air. Agent, secure the perimeter. The entity is en route, Masai said. All right, and here we have it. The very first page, I use that word lightly because my handwriting's all over the place, of Season 2, Episode 1. Based on the discussions we had here in the brainstorm, I'm going to read it out loud. I don't know how this compares to the first 5 minutes that we mapped out together. I haven't gone back to check that yet, but let's give it a little read. Spoiler alert, but I'm trying to cap it off before there's anything too juicy. So, let's see if I can read my own handwriting. That's always the trick. And I'll do my best. A downpour of rain brought extra humidity to the already thick air. Raindrops puddled against the muddy ground. Soldier, secure the northern perimeter. The entity is en route, the red-headed AI fallen goddess commanded. Roger that. I've sent Alpha Team to establish dominance of the entire trail. Bravo is guarding primary and the vault. Good. Then it appears error isn't on the menu today. Masai, have either of my squads ever let you down? How many unchipped hostiles did we eliminate together during the chipping? Too many, which is a perfect number, she replied. Soldier V, do you copy? He mind-linked. Loud and clear, eh? Alpha Team is in position with the transport case and the float. Alpha Team is in position with the transport case, but the float isn't in our sights yet. The Fate Soldier Alpha Team had established position 6 miles north of the hidden facility. Their unit of 10 Fate soldiers, Fate's sophisticated enhanced human combat specialists, had positioned their unit at multiple vantage points along the road and path that led back to the militarized scientific research facility. The rain intensified, and a white wall of impenetrable water rendered their night vision mostly useless. A familiar voice cut through the mind link. A familiar voice cut through their mind link channels. and that's where we're leaving it. So there you have it. Let's see how this matches up. I'm very curious, actually. And we're at exactly 11:25, which is wild. And so what I'll probably do is in my time box, I'm going to cut my session here, but I will cheat a little bit and go type this up just so that my crappy handwriting that I can't read tomorrow doesn't set us back. So in the first 5 minutes, I'm just going back to this little guy here. Heavy rain, a gate, fate snipers. We got kind of a mixture emphasized or inspired by that there. Fate setup and discussion. We're sort of getting into that, and that's about 2 minutes deep. And I believe that probably in the audio series format would have been 2 minutes. So we are tracking against this that we made with something. And to be honest, the writing process was just me sitting there thinking about it. And guys, I didn't hit erase. I didn't erase a single line. It's not how I operate. I mean, every once in a while I'll do a little erasing, but I didn't. In this particular case, I just wrote. I thought about a sentence, I stopped. I thought about the next sentence, I stopped. I did a paragraph, I stopped, and that was it. And it's just what's coming from my mind. And I think the thing that a lot of people probably get stuck on when they're writing, and again, I don't consider myself to be an author or a professional writer, although, we do have a product that's real that people like out there in the world. But I think people get hung up on falsified rules in their own heads, and this is in any creative field. And for me, it's like, no, man, let's sit in the kitchen, let's just write and trust your gut, trust your judgment, trust your creative spirit, and put something out. And so this is the first part of my creative process, and the very first minute of constructing the intro of m00m Season 2. Love to know what you think. Comment. I don't even know where I'm posting this, but comment, talk to me. I would love to hear your thoughts, as well as on my process. So thank you, everybody, and have a very good night.